Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee with Convery, where we caffeinate your curiosity with bold stories, actionable insights, and fresh takes on how we define and design success. Today's episode is extra special because we're shining a spotlight on an incredible student from the University of Windsor, a winner of the 2025 Rising Star Award. This award celebrates students who have excelled during their co-op placements and demonstrate the qualities that make them true leaders of tomorrow. Please welcome Cameron Anderson, a third-year mechanical engineering student whose curiosity and initiative turned a co-op at Stellantis into a journey of technical discovery and personal growth. Cameron's story reminds us of the power of work-integrated learning, resilience, and the courage to ask questions. So whether you're a student just beginning to explore your career options or a professional looking to reflect on your own journey, this insights will inspire and challenge you to keep growing. Cameron, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome.
Okay.
So let's get to some rapid fire questions first, just so the audience gets to know you.
Okay.
What is
Okay.
your superpower?
My superpower? Um, I don't know. If I had to choose if I had to choose a superpower is different than what I think mine would be.
Okay.
Um, I think maybe listening,
Yeah.
proactivity. I,
Listening
I know I
productive.
know that's kind of boilerplate interview type of answer, but
Those are
no,
good.
I feel like as a co-op student too, like the proactive listening, hearing things and actually making steps to acknowledge their thoughts and worries is definitely something that, especially employers and even interviewers, they'll definitely pick up on.
Amazing.
And I feel
Amazing.
like during my time as Stellantis and Valiant, like just taking those notes, small things go really far, go like a really long way.
Great, great superpowers and great advice to our listeners. So thinking back, I know you've had these co-op opportunities, but what was maybe your very first job that you had as a kid?
Oh, yeah. I'm from Tilbury, Ontario.
Okay.
It's kind of a smaller town outside of Chatham-Kent and Windsor, Essex. Um, And so it's kind of a lot of the kids when like their first job when they're like 14 is they go corn detasseling, which is they send a bunch of kids out to these fields and
Yeah.
they detassel all this corn. So every summer there'll be a huge wave of kids who do that and they get paid for it. So it's a pretty lucrative gig as a 14, 13-year old.
This is hilarious because Jordan Gore, who's the CEO of Pixame, said that was his first job earlier
What
in a
the heck?
podcast I recorded. So now this corn tasseling thing is becoming a theme on this podcast, which I never even knew it existed
What the heck?
until this last week. So
Yeah, I
thanks
guess
for
it's easy work to give to
yeah,
um, young kids. So.
yeah, exactly.
Because
What
sometimes the corn stalks are like so tall. I
yeah,
remember I wasn't that tall when I was like 13 or 14, but like I could get it. But there were some kids, it's like what like how is that even gonna be possible for you? Like they're like probably 5'1".
yeah.
Like there's no way. Like I would look at some of these kids and they're just looking up at the corn stacks, just looking up. It's like I don't know.
I love that. I love that corn tasseling. God. Favorite subject in school?
Uh I would say in high school it wasn't like I took my favorite class was a tech design course
Okay.
because just because how it was run and everything, it was kind of it was different than most classes I've taken where it's more like you have a group and it's just individual project. There's no sort of lectures or anything or like there wasn't really class time. It's just a project. Here's how to use AutoCAD or something like some software,
Yeah.
and then here's a project that you get to do. And honestly, like the research was up to yourself and it was more self-directed, which was it was really big change of pace for high school. So I think
Yeah.
that's why that course kind of stuck out to me.
That's amazing. That's
I made a trebuchet in that course, like out of wood. It was crazy.
wow.
Except it's so funny because I made a trebuchet in high school, and I made another trebuchet in my second year of my undergrad. And in my second year, like you actually had to learn like the mechanics of how it works and not using like this general plane motion, actually using like actual dynamic motion. But for the trebuchet I made in high school, it was really like that at all. It's cool to see how different they were.
Oh yeah, and how you've matured through that process, I bet too.
Yeah, like
Um,
actual like class learning applied to something.
which is so important these days, which I want to get into as well. If you had to describe yourself into maybe one word, what would you say? Who's Cameron?
Cameron. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a good one.
Um, uh, I don't know. Maybe it's students.
Yeah,
Student. I mean,
yeah.
I am a
Learner.
student, and it's
Yeah,
also like actually need to think about like the position of a student. And I mean, I'm
yeah,
in school
learner,
for
right? You're learning.
yeah, like all my life. I've been like a student basically, so that's sort of my whole identity right now. It's where
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know things. I'm only really listening. You know,
awesome.
two ears, one mouth type of deal.
Good for you. No, that's a great way to look at life, and lifetime learners is a good thing.
Yeah,
So, first of all, congratulations on winning the 2025 Rising Start Award. How did it
thank you.
feel to be recognized for your contributions?
Yeah, well, thank you first. Um,
You're welcome.
when you're a student, and I don't know if it's just me or not, this might be really applicable to people in the first year, but like you never really know if you're doing anything right in school. You only really have the grades, and grades are honestly like they're not going to be well. Like then they're kind of not a really good marker of how you're really taking your approach to school. So to have something else where they're really commenting on how you behaved, specific reasons why, like, you know, I think you deserve this recognition. It's really impactful for me, at least. So I was really surprised that I got it. And uh, it's just so different from anything else, like any other recognition where it'd be like grades or maybe you win a different reward or I
Yeah,
caught like a different classmate thanks you for studying or like maybe a professor says like hey thanks for asking that question. It's different because it was actually work. It was something I was nervous about. Am I doing this right? And it's basically saying yeah you did do this right.
that's so true.
So
And thank you for sharing again on that. Could you share a little bit maybe about what you did to earn the award? Because it's from the client, right? That
yeah,
recognizes you.
I was on it was from my time at Stellantis and I was on the automotive lighting team. And what happens is that like your supervisor at the end of the term, or the employer nominates a specific number of students, and then out of those students, they get to go to another stage where they write an essay sort of question and about what they did to maybe receive this award and what you did during your placement. And for me, I think one of the main hallmarks of what I did during the placement was the project where I was helping design a new lab methodology for uh, a dynamic movement of just like road bumps. So for vehicles, and it kind of like all I got really lucky. It all kind of fell on my lap. Where at the beginning of my term, I was working on this, or I was just learning. I didn't have any work assigned to me. They just said, "Hey, I think you should learn this. It'd be applicable for the position." It was AVS Scanner, which is a road visualization slash simulation software.
Hmm.
And I like it kind of sucked because I was learning that without a purpose, and it's a really sort of niche, broad, a lot of information software. And if you didn't have a specific purpose, it's like trying to learn what a hammer is without like swinging it. It's just like you're just looking at it and just kind of reading about it. And I don't know, it was difficult for me. At least it was really tedious because there wasn't a lot of information posted about how to use it online. There's just the manual, which
Yeah.
is a French translated version to English.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it was like automatically translated, so it was kind of choppy to read. But regardless, I spent a long time working on that with aside from other things. And during the middle of my term, they just had that like they had an idea of using our onboard simulators, which Stellantis has these huge vehicle simulators, which I think it's like one of if not like the largest in North America. And they want to see if they could have the seating team do their physical road test, where it's they add sensors to this to a seat, and they go on a real road. They have a track in at the Chrysler Tech Center in Michigan,
Yeah.
and they drive around and they take these sensors from the seat and they change it into data to see how well, like, it's a dynamic comfort test to see how comfortable the bumps will be, like the how the vehicle responds to bumps on the road
Gotcha.
and potholes and speed bumps, gravel,
Gotcha.
things like that. So what they want to do that simulator or that simulation with our simulation tools, with the actual large simulator we had, because it's a full front truck cab that they're simulating. So it would be
Gotcha.
possible because they just put that seat into that truck cab and they can simulate those bumps. It's just the thing is that simulator would have to have accurate data to how large the rocks or the gravel are, how deep
The pothole is.
potholes are. And yeah, it was definitely a lot of work and it's still incomplete. It's just the work that I did was I verified that Scanner, the software I was using, could create the simulation environment for that test and like successfully upload it to the simulator, which is kind of a big deal because that's it used it scanners. I don't know. It jumped between three different platforms until eventually. So it was kind of a huge problem with like transferability
Oh
and if
yeah.
things were going to mesh well, and if data would be lost in between,
Yeah.
because like the small like small little changes of road are kind of hard to simulate with that. Like, and it's not really what the intended purpose of scanner either. So it was there's definitely a lot of problems. I had to meet with like a lot of colleagues. I use a
Nice.
lot of different software and workarounds. Like at one point, we had to upload the whole road. We had to upload the whole road profile to Blender,
Hmm.
and we had to like, oh man, it was we were doing like actual 3D design in Blender, which is like and
That's
I
cool.
always thought Blender to be an animation software, but no, I learned that's actually like you can do a lot with that. Just images, almost everything, and any type of modeling.
That's amazing. What an experience. That's such a cool experience. And thank you for sharing, giving some insights into what it was. So obviously work integrated learning is a big part of your journey. How has co-op shaped your perspective on what your future career might look like? Any
Uh,
advice?
yeah. Yeah, the work I couldn't even imagine doing this program without doing co-op. The co-op has always been the best part. I don't know if it's just me or anything, but the school aspect,
Yeah.
there are definitely courses that I like and topics that I like, but especially in the first and second years where it's a lot of high level sort of theoretical knowledge, not really applicable. It's just it's refreshing to actually get an idea of what the career is that you're going into. Because you have to choose this in high school. Like in grade 12, you should like unfortunately like you should know what you want to do with the rest of your life. I mean, it kind of makes no sense. So uh, when I chose engineering because it was really broad.
Yeah.
I didn't really have like a full idea of like some people are like I want to work on rockets or I want to work on this car and lucky them like they know, but I feel like the majority of people they don't know for sure. And yeah, for me it's
Absolutely.
always been about like what am I doing this for, like what's this like what's the rest of my life going to look like. And work integrated learning, it's perfect. I couldn't even imagine not doing it because you actually get to see what you would be doing and like what you could be doing in the future.
Yeah, exactly. And I think even those that think they have it all figured out and what they want to work on and do, it's going to change. It's going to change with the environment, the business opportunities, the work. But you always have those skills that you can bring along, or you can figure out what you don't want to do by doing work integrated learning,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
right? So both sides of it. Thinking about some first year students today, what advice would you give them if they're thinking about doing co-op? Would you advise them to consider it as well and pursue it?
Yeah, like 100%. I at least give it a good try. Um, I know that the competition, especially at different schools, is very competitive. One of the reasons why I transferred to University of Windsor from Ontario Tech University was because of the co-op program, and
Okay.
just the more realistic it would be for me to get co-ops. But I mean, I know I'm not sure how it is at other schools, but for University of Windsor, the the first job competition. it wasn't really like there weren't a lot of. And I've talked to other co-op students and even like colleagues. There aren't big things that separate co-op students from other co-op students in the first year.
Yeah.
Everyone has a sort of maybe I worked at McDonald's or some retail, some entry level job. And then if you're lucky as a first year student, you'll maybe be placed on a team, but you can just put that on your resume. Like I was on maybe you could say I was on the formula team or the rocketeer team, and just small things like that would also kind of put people above, like sort of make them more competitive. I know this
Yeah.
one guy, he said that the only reason he got hired is because in high school he did like a robotics team, which is pretty crazy. And I feel like that's sort of in high school, I didn't do any sort of extracurriculars other than sports or anything.
Yeah.
So if you're in high school, maybe it'd be really good to start thinking about that. It just makes you a little more competitive.
It's great advice. Yeah, no, totally. So one of your big questions I read was, what do engineers actually do on a day-to-day basis? But how has co-op helped you to answer that question?
Yeah, it definitely has helped a lot. Um, but yeah, like I said before, like my whole thing is what is my life going to look like on a day-to-day basis? Not really, oh, I hope I get to work on a rocket or I hope I get to do this or that. It's more being just about like what am I doing Monday to Friday during the day? So co-op has really helped me with that because at my first position, it was operations quality,
Yeah.
and so basically that it sort of like that department kind of worked with all other departments of that company, Valiant, and it sort of allowed me to get my foot in the door and sort of learn at every different department, which was really cool, like simulations teams, engineering design teams, even all the way down to the mill rights and procurement teams. And I really just got to see all of it and just how it changed, the workloads changed, different responsibilities and things like that. And at Stellantis, I thought it would be kind of similar. No, at Stellantis, my placement was all research and development. So there wasn't really, we weren't really interacting with procurement or sort of like any other administrative type of, it's just all purely testing and laboratories. So it was pretty cool. And it allowed me to actually see, like that 4 month period of time, it allowed me to
Yeah.
see what their life really looked like all these professional engineers' lives look like.
Which is so cool. And just to get exposure to that. I'm also curious, like at Stellantis, when you've, worked with this AVS scanner, um, there's obviously learning involved, and you said the manual is from French to English, but how did you approach teaching yourself something so complex? Like, did you talk to your colleagues?
Yeah.
How'd you learn it?
Yeah, I mean, I did have a lot of time. I mean, and like when you're in the workplace, I feel like I'm in a different zone, right? I'm trying to be 100% efficient because I'm worried that, okay, am I doing my job correctly? Because as a
Yeah.
co-opson, you're worried about everything, so you want to do everything to like 100%. So I was sort of using all of the time I had, just finding anything I could online. That manual I was
Yeah.
reading. I even used like I would even upload some sections to ChatGPT,
Yeah.
summarize them, like, hey, can you tell me like what they're actually talking about here? And I don't know, just using all tools accessible. And
Smart.
there were even some parts where I did reach out to um, my other coworker, this other engineer, and he had learned Scanner. He had used it for something prior, and like yeah, and also just looking at old files because I'm pretty sure the previous co-op student he had saved some of his old files on there, and I could learn off of what he created. So
Amazing. Interesting. I also read somewhere that you expect interest in the power and energy sector. What excites you about
yeah,
maybe that, exploring some of that a bit and thinking about maybe an opportunity in those spaces?
yeah, I mentioned that I was speaking to this other guy for the newsletter,
Yeah.
and that sort of is like power and energy sort of peaked to me because of its. Honestly, I haven't really seen day to day what the engineers in that field sort of do. So it's kind of a contradiction to my interest in it. But just looking at what's happening, I don't know if I can get too political or not, but just looking at what's happening for the longevity of different sectors in
Yeah.
Canada, automotive took a really big hit earlier this year. Um, And just it sort of just goes to show the the variability of that sector where it's strongly built on the USCMA. That's the agreement between the
Yep.
North American and Mexico. And yeah, I mean, I'm just sort of thinking about more longevity, and power and energy has actually sort of always been something I kind of wanted to look into. It was originally oil and gas because these big oil companies, I feel like I have this sort of thing where because a lot of like mining, engineering, and oil and gas companies sort of like it's not really that great for the environment, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like just more development in those sectors rather than just completely shutting them off would be better
Yeah.
for like having the world like an actual work being done because a lot of climate change right comes from these huge oil and gas companies.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like that's something that's sort of like it's more stuck out to me than making a car go faster or making rockets and things like that. So it's just
Well, it
been sort
has
of some
purpose to it too, right? And in the world and the future of the world as well.
yeah, like I'm trying to shift more. I feel like I've always been shifting more towards something like that where I can look at what I'm doing and try to make it have like a positive impact on the world. That sort of deal.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Um, Thinking about our listeners, students, maybe students that are behind you, thinking about listening to what your journey's been. Do you have any advice about career growth and discovery that you might want to share with the younger generation, whether it's high school, like you said, maybe get involved in a robotics club or any other thoughts around what maybe students should be
Mm,
thinking about as they're exploring the intersect of their schooling and their work?
yeah, yeah. I think at least for me when I was in high school, it was like to be completely honest, like if there was a robotics team at my school, there wasn't, but like I went to a smaller high school. I don't think I would be on it. To be completely honest, there wasn't a massive interest for me to participate in something like that. And I don't know why, but if you're that person, like that's okay. Like you don't have to have a crazy intrinsic motivation to do a specific sort of thing. I mean, for me, one of my big, like, I wish that I would really love joining clubs in undergraduate because I see a lot of my friends joining these clubs. There's formula teams, rocketry teams, anything extracurricular. And just for me, there's just never been, maybe it's that maybe other people, I'm describing it wrong for other people, but there's just never been a huge want to do that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
if you're that person, that's completely fine. Like that is completely fine. How I view it was in high school, I had a very broad idea of what I wanted to do. Like before, where I said I've always been shifting more towards to like power and energy or something like that. But in high school, it's really broad, and that's normal. Engineering is a really broad major. I chose engineering because it was really broad. It captured a few of the things I was interested in, and even still, uh, every time I do a co-op position, I leave it, and that broadness is either moved towards something
Yeah.
that I would like a little bit more, or it's gone more narrow.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a super honed in desire to do something, and you shouldn't beat yourself up over, man, like I wish I could like doing this like rocketry team or robotics team in high school because it would look better on my resume.
Yeah. Good point.
You don't like it's you don't have to worry about it that much, I feel like.
No, I think you nailed it with that advice because you should do what you're passionate about, what interests you, right? Not just sign up for things just to sign up for them.
Yeah,
It's the message I'm hearing. Yeah.
yeah, and you'll risk the chance of sort of suffocating yourself because you have these ulterior motives, and you find that you're spending most of your day doing things you don't really want to do.
That's a great point. I'm kind of curious. I want to ask you one question about mentorship and coaching and mentorship. Do you have mentors that are you're working with in your life to help you think through some of these moments, or how are you approaching mentorship and maybe networking as well, as far as tapping into people you've met or people that inspire you?
Yeah. Um, for me personally, I feel like. my mentorship sort of comes from honestly other students I've met
Yeah.
during the program. There have been a couple of professors I've met too. Also, for like a piece of advice for students entering undergrad. Um, all professors they love like I don't know. I haven't met a professor that doesn't love answering questions. Like professors love it when students raise hands and ask questions during class, and they love it when they go to their office hours. And I've met with a few professors where it was simply just about career advice,
Yeah.
or they say they ran a lab at the school. I would like to I would meet with them and just wonder about what the work they're doing and sort of honestly I've gotten my best advice from professors who even I went to this one professor about going into power and energy and what I would do at this point in my life because she sort of had the same experience and everything. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, as for the other co-op students, like at Stellantis, it was crazy because I kind of felt it sort of a little like I'm out of my depth at Stellantis because even the other co-op students were very esteemed. Like they had high positions in clubs, a lot of experience, many different extracurriculars, presidents like of different clubs and things like that. And it was crazy. And I that sort of really got me actually thinking they sort of motivated me a little bit more to actually try not try in school, but like try to look into clubs and other things other than just going to school and coming home.
Getting more involved in the community aspects of the school. And yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, professors love answering questions, and I think that's the take home thought
Awesome.
you should have going into classes.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing your experience as a student and all the things you're learning and will continue to learn. It's amazing. Thank you for sharing that and reminding us about curiosity, initiative, resilience. All great things, Cameron, and I can't wait to see where you go from here. But thank you so much for being part of the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Awesome. So, to our listeners, if today's episode inspired you, share it with another student exploring their paths. Subscribe to the podcast at coffeewithconvery.com. You can also follow us on Instagram for more stories and exciting behind the scenes opportunities. For now, this is Coffee with Convery, where we remind you that success isn't always about climbing that corporate ladder. Sometimes it's about building your own jungle gym. Thank you again.